Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Arabia. Women of Arabia is a platform where we showcase the best women entrepreneurs and women from other walks of life of Arabia who with their sheer determination and passion they have created their dreams into reality. And today in conversation with us is the beautiful Hiba Balfaqih.
Correct, yeah.
Finally!
You got it right.
I finally got it right. I know why I got it right.
Yeah.
That's all for the camera. Alright. Hiba is the CEO of this startup factory and the Smash Room and quite a lot of many other things which we'll get to. But I love the fact that you call yourself CEO.
Yeah.
Why CEO?
Why not CEO, right? So everybody came up with CEO and just put a female twist behind it, you know, woman power, CEO.
And she's all about women power.
100%, girl power all the way.
Right. So what exactly is the Startup Factory?
So the Startup Factory is an organization that helps people and entrepreneurs or just average day-to-day people to turn their business dreams into reality. So we are a team of people that will come into your business or just before you even start a business and kind of help you define the idea and get it up and running. And I started this business ideas because I've been an entrepreneur since I was a very young age. I started my first business at 16. And I tried everything, right? I tried fitness training, healthy juice restaurants, gifting concepts, and I was learning throughout just by doing, but I didn't have the correct skills and knowledge throughout that. But every business taught me something new, from marketing, from sales. And what I realized that was missing is that there was the huge consultancy firms that needed an arm and a leg, and there was no one there to guide you throughout that process. And I needed that. And then I started meeting, as I grew into the businesses and meeting different people, I started to meet subject matter experts. And I came up with the idea, I was like, are you guys willing to help other people? And the main aim is to help. We're not trying to charge an arm or a leg. We understand that starting a business is very difficult and everybody has money constraints. So can we come up with something where we are helping the community and helping people start their business? And that's how it first started. And slowly, you know, we started with 2 people, then 3 people, and then we built like an ecosystem of like subject matter experts who are willing to donate their time, from lawyers to accountants and auditors and so forth. And we built this beautiful ecosystems where we help different businesses in any industry start. And majority of our clients are moms, or especially working moms who don't have actually time to start the business and have a full-time job and also be a mom. That's 3 jobs right there. So we go in and we see different bits and parts of the business and see how we can help her. And another key demographic that approach us are people fresh out of university who don't necessarily have the funding. So we're not a venture capitalist, we don't fund the businesses, but we kind of help them get it ready for pitch. We train them how to pitch. We work on their value proposition with them. We define the idea. We look at where they can get the resources from and get their feasibilities done and etc. So do everything to get them ready to go get pitched. And now, because we've been building quite a good network, we started meeting investors and we kind of go and pitch them the ideas. We've also teamed up with a few of the local entities like Shira, for example, in Dubai Startup Hub, where we can bring the ideas that we have and get them incubated into these platforms and so forth. So it started off as let's help people live their dreams, and now it's pretty much where I spend majority of my time actually in business. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I've heard this story from many other people saying that you've inspired them to start something of their own.
And something we do is zero, like we don't charge for consultancy. I pretty much would sit 6 hours and give you free consultancy work, and if you sign up with us, you sign up with us. There's no string attached. At the end of the day, I believe in contribution. If you're contributing back and you're giving the best advice and the best knowledge that you can to help somebody, business will also always come. It flows, and we do zero marketing. All our clients are word of mouth.
Oh, that's amazing.
100% of them are word of mouth. So
yeah, it's interesting that when you say we just do it just because we really wanted to create an impact and help give back to the society.
Exactly.
And obviously it stemmed up from the fact that from the age of 16,
Yeah.
they said we've been trying to do it. So where were you from at the age of 16, if I may ask, and Why did this entrepreneurial streak just...
So I don't know. Since I was very young, I really wanted to start a business. Like I was very good at school, but I didn't like rules. Did not like rules. I still don't like rules. Hence why I'm called the CEO, right? And I come from a family of like people who stay in the corporate job. So my dad was in the same job in the same company for like 60 years.
That's like my dad.
Yes, very loyal to the job, to the corporate world. I was in the corporate world for 10 years. I quit last year actually. But I always knew there was something else that I wanted to do, so I was experimenting, and no one actually in my family understood why I was experimenting. And it was because I didn't find that fulfillment in what I was doing in the corporate world. So I'm actually a psychologist, and I worked in HR for 10 years of my life.
Okay, so that's the corporate world.
The corporate world. I worked for the names of like Philips, Majidal Futtaim, and so forth. And at a very young age, I was very, very successful and made a lot of money, but I wasn't fulfilled. And I was 25, I was the head of HR for the region, I was still not fulfilled. I always had a side hustle. I always had some side project that was going on.
You were always more interested
I was more interested in, and I was just the creativity of starting something. And I think as time progressed, I understood what I was really good at. I didn't know, I thought I was just good at, I wanted to start a business, or I wanted to have a business. But now I understand that I like to create. I'm a creator. So starting a business from idea to creation, that's a creation for me. And that's where I get my spark and my energy from. So just understanding that that's the part, and saying I don't have to just start my business, I can start other people's businesses as well. It gives me the same feeling. It's all kind of linked together at the end of the day.
You said that, you've tried different things from the age of 16, from fitness training to whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Everything. Do you think you didn't grow up in just to give them a small perspective, you're from Kuwait.
So I'm born in Kuwait. I'm Arab Canadian. That's how I like to classify myself.
Right.
I'm a world citizen. I've lived in London, I've lived in Canada, I've lived in Dubai, I've lived a lot all over the world. So we've traveled after the Gulf War in Kuwait. I started university a bit mixed. I did UAE and the States. My master's is from Arizona, so I went to Arizona. So I've been all over the place. For me, home I would say is Canada. Home is Canada.
You grew up there.
Yeah. Right. Home is Canada.
And so let's just go back to the time when you were 16.
Yeah.
Were you in Canada at that time? Yes. Do you think, because most of the times there you've got to, as you study, you take up jobs and everything, do you think that has somehow incorporated into your lifestyle? Because that wouldn't have been the case if you were here, right? Could be.
I can't really judge because we don't come from a family that was okay with us working. So we're a very traditional Arab family. You go to school and you study. That's the most important part of it.
Oh, yes.
And I remember I actually took a summer job one summer, and my mom was very upset the whole summer with me because I took a summer job as a counselor.
You're supposed to sit at home and probably sleep.
Yeah, or just like be around the family. That was kind of what it was. 3 months, and I decided to take the job, and my mom took it as a you don't need the money, why are you working? And it was for me, just I wanted the experience. So at a very young age, I was doing stuff different from the status quo. If I wanted to achieve and work hard. I'm the youngest of 7 kids. I think that played a big part of me trying to step up and achieve.
Rebel.
100%. I can't say I'm the black sheep, but I am the black sheep.
Not technically, but then you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And how's your mom now with everything?
Oh, my mom is like super proud. She's like my biggest fan. I just was with her before I came here today, and she's come full circle. Even for me, when I had to quit my job, I took the decision that it no longer served me to be in the corporate world. And she struggled with that. It wasn't an easy decision, but then you live life once and you have to live your best life. And I knew that when I'm outside the norm, I can't be my true self. Yeah. And once I quit, no regrets. Life has just been going upwards since then. Yeah.
Like you said, the fulfillment comes when it doesn't matter how well paid the job is or how high the position is.
100%.
You're not happy.
100%. And I would say it's also a mindset thing. Yeah. So your mom does not say quit that, stay in your corporate job because she doesn't love you. It's actually because she loves you, because she fears for you. That's where it's coming from.
And that's all she knows.
You know,
right?
and that's all she knows, exactly. So I actually see it as her being very empathetic towards me when she tells me, like, I want you to be safe, I want you to be security. Security is very important at their era. They really wanted to be focused on security. Security was so important, and security is still important for like the majority of the world right now. But if you're able to live with insecurity, that's when you're secure.
Oh, that's interesting. She said that.
Yeah.
If you're able to live with insecurity,
then you're secure. Because nothing can faze you otherwise. Right? Nothing can faze you. I say one of my needs in life is variety. I like that insecurity, that thing that keeps on moving and revolving, and that nothing ever phases you. Like there could be the biggest problem in the office and people are calling me, like you saw just before we got on this chat. And I'm poised, I'm chill. Yeah, I'm relaxed. It's nothing. It's not an issue. Like nothing is a problem. I always say it's a plot twist.
Okay.
It is not a problem. It's just a plot twist. And with a plot twist,
yeah, you just have to move through and
exactly.
Get on that.
You'll find a way. You'll always find a way. If you have that belief within you that you'll find a way, you know, all our superpowers are within us. They're not in the external world.
Right. Yeah. And that comes from, you also do a lot of coaching.
Yes, I do a lot of mindset coaching, and a lot of the times with entrepreneurs, I do a lot of mindset coaching with them because a business can grow only as large as the entrepreneur. If the entrepreneur thinks he can only make 10,000 dirhams a month, that's only what he's going to make. If he thinks he can make the million, he'll make the million. So it's a lot of like just reprogramming the mind and having it fixed on a growth mindset instead of a scarcity mindset. A lot of people focus on what they don't have. Yes. It's actually if you focus on what you have and what's around you and what's inside of you, then that's when progress happens and that's when growth happens.
This scarcity mindset there, it generally it's actually more prevalent now, would you say that? Or?
I say it's always been there. It's from fear, and we are composed of doing things that we do based on fear. That's how our genetic make is, right? So we're afraid to fail and we're afraid of not being loved. These are our two main fears. Yes. And anything everybody does goes back to those two fears. And scarcity is just fear. You know, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being loved, fear of not having enough, fear of everything just around you. That's what scarcity is.
Fear of uncertainty.
Yeah, fear of uncertainty. And a lot of people focus. I always say our biggest addiction is talking about our problems. It's not drugs, it's not alcohol, it's none of that. It's talking about our problems. Everybody has a problem, and everybody thinks their problem is significant and is the most important problem in the world. Yeah, and people feed off each other by continually talking about their problems.
And when we keep talking,
you're manifesting it.
Yeah, you manifest it, and plus
it builds up.
It builds up.
Yes.
And then it comes to a point where, because we've been talking to different mindset coaches and psychologists and all that, and they all say the same thing. They say that you can do all the work that you need to do, but if deep down you're getting some kind of a pleasure, or if it's serving your purpose and talking about how bad your life is, you want to keep doing it. Right?
It's meeting your needs.
Yeah.
And if talking about your problem meets your needs, it's over. You're going to always be talking about it. That's why we have to be super vigilant and aware of what we say and how we think. I actually sometimes would have a thought and then I would slap my hand like this to condition myself, and then I would give myself a command and say, change. Just out loud, right? That because the mind then processes the command and the conditioning. So if the thought ever happens again, I'll just repeat the same thing, change. And then your mind will associate pain with that thought and will no longer repeat the thought for you.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because there are times when it just goes on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we love that roller coaster. It's the stories we tell ourselves, you know, and you can go and create. You know, like how people say, I have anxiety. What is anxiety? You're just worrying about something that didn't really happen and you don't know it will happen. So it's a make-up story. So you're living in your brain, developing this story that will not happen and might not happen. And you just assume it happens, and then it happens because you manifested it.
Right.
Because thoughts become things. I actually always wear a necklace that says, I become my thoughts.
I become my thoughts. Oh, yes.
And I have this everywhere in my car, in my house, everywhere, just as a reminder that I become my thoughts. Everything I think about, it will manifest and become. Our thoughts can be amazing or dangerous.
Most of the times we're on that borderline, and it's very easy. Like Abraham Hicks, for instance, she keeps talking about the 17 seconds of. Sometimes all that is needed is that 17 seconds of pure positive thoughts, because one positive thought will keep spiraling into another.
100%.
But we just, I don't know if it's the society that puts the pressure on us and the whole large mindset.
I think it's just the consciousness. This is what you've always been accustomed to. You grew up in a house where everybody is complaining, and if somebody has the bigger problem, they get the most attention. And that conditions into you. I have a baby niece who just came back from school, and the first thing she wanted to tell her mom is what went wrong. And I picked it up, and I wanted to coach her, because at young age they're very susceptible and they can actually get reprogrammed real quickly. So I started asking her more empowering questions. So what was great about school today? Okay, what can you do tomorrow to be better than today? So just giving her some more empowering questions. And I had a chat with my sister that once they come with the negativity, you need to ask an empowering question. And we ask ourselves as well. We need to ask ourselves empowering questions. We wake up today and go, oh, what the hell am I going to do? That is not an empowering question. But if you wake up in the morning and say, how can I serve today? How can I add value? You're already in an empowering position.
Right. But is it also really necessary that we have to? Because just like happiness or positivity is an emotion, so is sadness, right?
Yes.
I mean, do we always have to be
happy?
Yeah.
So it's not just about happiness, it's about emotional stability. If you're sad or depressed, and yes, you're entitled to be sad and depressed, but how long? If you're able to kick out of it in a short amount of time and just continue to live, that's healthy, right? I always say tears are the healthiest thing, because that's your body letting go of all the stress, right? But it's about the people who are only living in that state of sadness, anger, rage, resentment, whatever it is, all the time. Some people, they wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're just like, why are they so upset? What happened? It's only 8 o'clock. But it's like a code. It's like a computer code. So if you write the code, I'm upset, and you press enter, and you write it again, you press enter, you write it again, press enter, then the computer says, wait, we like this code, control shortcut. And then something happens, your computer says, control shortcut, right? And then that's your automatic response. There's people that always laugh, no matter what you tell them, that's their control shortcut. That's their computer going, oh, this is how we react. But people that they're grumpy all the time, and no matter what, like the best comedian can be there and be like, he's not that funny. You know what I mean? Right? And he's like, yeah, I've seen him do better. And that's their control shortcut. It's because they go to that behavior, that emotion so constantly that it's their main, it's programmed. It's their main feeling.
I also read recently or heard recently in an interview, somebody was saying that our bodies, after a while, what happens is it goes on
auto drive, like neutral.
Yes. Our body. So what happens is it's not just the mind that controls
100%.
us, for example, after a while, because your mind has programmed yourself so much
100%.
that your body also starts controlling, like
100%.
for example, 3 o'clock, this is the time I want to probably go to sleep, or 8 o'clock, this is the time that I am on social media, and that's it, there's nothing else. So even if you try to sit down and meditate, or just sit down and quieten yourself, your body is the one who's like all jittery.
And 100%, and that's usually because you still think the mind controls the body.
It's not, right?
It's the soul that controls everything, but we neglect the soul and we focus either on the body or the mind. And I was preaching the mind for a long time, but I went through my enlightening and I understood that the soul is what needs to be in control. But we forgot about the soul. Yeah, we forgot about the soul, and we focus on the body. And that when we started with the body, I need to get thin, I need I need a six-pack, I need to work out, I need to look a certain shape, and people were super focused. I think this era is all about how you look, right? It's just about your looks. And then now there's not a few, but there's a great deal of people that tell you, your mind, actually controls that. You know, you can shift your mind and it will shift your perception about your body. Actually, you can actually shift your own beliefs about your body. So if you looked at yourself one day and you said, I don't look good, and then you can shift that belief and say, I look good, and just program yourself that way. But there's a whole other layer on top of it, which is the soul. And the soul knows your purpose. The soul gives you those energetic vibrations, those intuition. You know, when you walk into a room and you're like, I like this person's vibe, that's your soul. That is not your mind, that is not your body. That's your soul reading the energy in the room. And that's a whole other dimension of it. Yes, your mind is the superpower. It's a computer. But your soul is kind of like the program that's got like in it, right? And if you've never used that program, you've been running empty. 100%.
How do you suggest that people just connect more with this?
I say it's like it's a muscle. It's a muscle that you need to train. The same way you would train your body for a marathon, you would train your brain, take control over your mind, and find your soul. It's baby steps. We have so many codes. If I'd be right, we do about 10,000 codes. Like you have to make 10,000 decisions per day. That's about 2,000 decisions per hour if you slept 8 hours, right? Can you think about 2,000 decisions that you've made? That means you're doing some decisions on autopilot, right? And you have to now start going from this I'm not aware to I am aware. I give a very good example always. I always say, there's one time you're on your phone and then you get into the car and you're on the phone and somehow you got home. How? Who drove the car? And how did you know the way? And how did you get there? Right? And that's your mind that's taken, or your subconscious mind is so powerful, it managed to get you home without you even realizing it. Now imagine how many other things in your day-to-day life that your mind has taken control and just taken you there without you even understanding or knowing how. So awareness of your thoughts, awareness of your mood, awareness of your primary emotion that you go to, okay, that's key to knowing what codes are running through your mind. Okay, I always say, I know that my primary go-to, it used to be anger. I used to snap like this. 16 to 25, I used to snap like this. You cannot say anything to me without me getting angry. I did kickboxing, I did boxing, I did everything. But if I just felt slightly offended, 0 to 100. People see me today. I proudly say I'm not that person anymore. That person taught me a lesson, but it's the past. And my go-to emotion right now is understanding. I try to understand first before I take an action, right? But that didn't happen just because I meditated for an hour, right? That was a whole lot of work. I would say 4 years of work, right? It goes within journaling, gratitude, having a set amount of rituals that you do daily. I dedicate 6 o'clock to 10 a.m. every morning for the past 4 years for me.
Wow.
Okay. When I was working, I used to wake up earlier. I used to wake up at 4:30, and I would dedicate 4:30 to 8 for me every day. I go to work out. That's the first thing, because the body, like emotions, change with movement. So imagine if I just told you now to jump, you'll be in a peak state immediately. So movement, then I do gratitude, then I do journaling. So I journal in thanks of things that I want like they've already happened. So I would say, thank you, God, for the continuous wealth and abundance that constantly flows into my life. Thank you, God, for giving me the ability to help constant people and people around the world. So every day I would journal, and then I would meditate. But my meditation is visualization. I visualize everything that I want like it's already happened. But then that's till 10 o'clock. Then you can meet an asshole at at 11, right? And then what happens? So it's that taking that breather. Something is happening, not reacting. So your body is already going fire, control, shortcut, control, shortcut. It's about taking that deep breath. Okay, and then just saying, okay, what is in my best interest right now? What is in the best interest for everybody at the moment? And just having that pause changes your reaction. Because you can't control other people. If you go into the world thinking, oh, I'm just going to be positive and then everybody's going to be positive back, that does not happen. I've had people tell me straight up, you're just too energetic for us, you're too smiley. I don't like you because you're too smiley. What do you do to that? You just say, thank you. You know, and that's it. You know, you just leave it at that. You know, there's no tit for tat. Like I've been in so many situations lately, and I think it builds up your perseverance muscle, because you just have to accept that you are who you are, and not everybody has to like you, and not everybody has to agree with you, and not everybody has to be on your team. Once you're okay with that point of view, that nobody has to be on my team, I got my own team, and you have your own tribe, that's it. Pleasing everybody will never get you anywhere. Pleasing yourself first will get you everything, because you have to be focused on loving yourself. I always say you can't give from an empty cup. There's a reason when you go on the airplane where they tell you, put the oxygen mask on yourself and then give it to somebody else. There's a reason for that. It's because if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not filling your cup, how are you going to give? So that's key in everything, self-love. And I coach a lot of women, and a lot, like I always say, I coach everybody, but 90% of my demographic are women, and they all have the same problems. I am not good enough, you know, and it goes from I'm not a good mom, or I'm not a good, you know, I'm not a hard worker, and all of these are make-believe.
As women, we are being brought up to feel guilty about everything, like every single thing. I think that's been ingrained in us.
Yes.
Completely. Our mothers, we've seen our mothers do that, our grandmothers do that, but we can take on everything.
I saw an amazing quote a few days ago. I actually laughed because the quote said, you've never heard somebody say that, they always tell you that men mature later after women, giving men that opportunity to slack, right? But you've never heard mom tell you, or society tell you, men are mature quick and they're role models and you can depend on them.
You're right.
You know, so they've given them this opportunity. But a woman, or as a mom, if she's just a mom and she's not like at home, and like they expect her to have a full-time job and be a mom, and as well as be a full-time mom and have a job. And that's it. And if you slack, or you don't even slack, if you have a different balance of both, you're a bad mom. You're automatically labeled. But you know what? I want to tell you what the problem is. Women actually label women.
Yes, they do.
Women will label women more than men will label women. You know, because I hear this all the time. Like she, blah blah blah. She should be at home. You should mind your business.
Exactly.
You know, that's really at the end of it.
Right.
If it's not it's not you and your family, mind your business. But women go against it.
Everything you do, there's a fault. You're not the right kind of mother. If you take a little too much time with your kid, you're not giving him space. If you ignore the kid for a while, you're ignoring it. So everything that they do, unfortunately, and they do it to others too. So
and they do it to themselves and to others, and it's become this culture. But there's also, I have to say, a huge rise in women empowering women at the moment as well. Yet there's generations that we need to go back and kind of re-empower, right? So the damage is generational right now, but we have an obligation going forward. So I hear it all the time, like, don't do that. That's like, boys do that, or don't do, you know, I'm just like,
don't cry.
You know, don't cry. Girls cry for little boys. You know, that's not what boys would do. What would a boy do?
So what girls should play with.
Exactly. Your girl should wear a dress and sit and be pretty, you know? Like there's a lot of these, I call them rules, bullshit rules. There's a lot of these rules that they don't accept. I've had it all throughout my life. I was an athlete. I am still very athletic. And throughout growing up, it was Hiba is a tomboy. No, I'm just a girl who likes sports.
Yes.
And it really affected me growing up, because then I became awkward around boys and all that kind of stuff, and it made me feel like, oh, I'm not a girly girl, therefore boys don't like me. You know, so I started developing this persona who's not necessarily me. That was never me. I was just a girl who likes athletics, and I was just fine with the label then. Okay, fine, I'm a tomboy because that's what everybody was labeling me. No. I hear it now all the time, oh, my daughter's a tomboy. No, she's not a tomboy. She's just a girl who likes to play a lot of sports.
Right. My other one is like that. And now that she's become a teenager, I see all these emotional changes in her, and suddenly she herself is confused as to, why do I like wearing a bit of lipstick now? I mean, I'm supposed to be the tomboy.
Yeah.
You don't have to be.
It's just a mindset shift throughout the whole journey. And sometimes you take on these labels growing up. So I took on this label of me being the rebel. Okay, you know, I took it on proudly. But then at some point in life, it stops serving you. And you need to, at that point, decide, am I going, if my evolved spiritual self, you know, my soul, is it the rebel? Right? It has served me to a point. I've achieved, I've succeeded, you know, I've accomplished so much. But then it comes to a point where you have to realize now you're here for a purpose and you've evolved. Your spiritual consciousness has evolved. It's no longer that 16-year-old or 21-year-old, right? Now you're somebody else. And does that past you, that image, that label, still represent this future you? And people who say they don't change and they are who they are, that's BS. Everybody change. If you're not growing, you're dead. You're dying.
Change is the only thing that's constant. Right?
100%. And if you don't grow, you die. You know? So if you're not evolving as a human being, you die. It's as simple as that. You know, your end just becomes closer. You get more miserable. You fall into a routine. You get into the whole like cycle of it. And then you're like, I'm unhappy. Then you're depressed. Then you die. That's literally what happens. You know, growth is the only thing. And this is, if you look at it in the corporate world, people leave jobs for managers and for not growing. Yeah. I worked in HR for 10 years. It was the same damn problem. And it was at the point, it was like, guys, you can't wait for somebody to help you grow. You need to grow yourself. True. I read an average of a book a week. I've done 82 books this year, once a week. And because this needs to grow. And if I'm constantly growing, and I read everything is self-development. The only book I read this year that wasn't self-development was Michelle Obama's I Am Becoming. And it was worth the read. You know, it was a really amazing book. Highly recommended. And that's because I understand that growth is progress. And if I want to progress in any aspect of my life, I need to grow and learn. And it's not like, let's take the book and everything it says, I believe, and that's the way it goes. No, there's commonalities that you can take from every book and just expand it, add it, and sometimes they just connect the dots. One of the last books I read was Conversations with God.
Oh, I love that.
It's an amazing book, and it just solved a lot of my bruise about religion, and I've always been very curious about religions in general. And I didn't practice my own religion because I wasn't really sure about it and so forth. And I had so many questions, and I just said, I'm just not. And then reading that book, reading Theta Healing. Okay.
I'm a theta healer.
Yeah, so it all kind of came together, and I was just like, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. Mixing it with my religion, it also made a lot of sense. And suddenly I went from this girl who was scared of God to this girl who wakes up every day and goes, thank you, God. I used to say thank you, universe, because I didn't know if there was a God. You know, I was scared about that. And I was like, I don't know, you know. And then I was like, oh, no, there is a God, and He's Allah, and I believe it, and He's a creator, and I'm a creator, but we are one of the creator. Exactly. Right? Yes. And just having that full circle, that comes from growth. I would have still been, you know, in my 30s and not knowing God. And you judge yourself. I actually at one point was judging myself because I was looking at my family who was devout, and they could sit there and pray for hours. And I was like, why can't I do that? Like, what's wrong with me? You know, why am I not able to sit down and pray like everybody else? And it hurt, you know, and I was like, well, we believe that God makes everything happen, but why is He making it happen for me? Right? And I went through this whole dialogue in my 20s, and then to a point where I was like, okay, if I'm going to hell, I'm going to hell. That's my rebel personality, you know, comes out, goes, bah, going to hell. But then as the journey progressed and I started connecting with my soul and connecting with my higher consciousness and my spirit and understanding who I am and why I'm being put on this earth, and understanding that you're actually all energy and part of a whole creation, you know, and all that put together, I was just like, makes sense now. You know, it makes sense.
Yes. So how does the Smash Room?
Smash Room, yeah.
How does the Smash Room come in?
Oh, Smash Room, that's my baby.
Yeah.
So the Smash Room, 2 years ago, my grandmother passed away. My grandmother was my best friend. She raised me since I was like this big, you know, and it was just me and her most of the time. And up till I was like 16, I was sleeping in her bed, you know, and only recently when I moved out of my family house, like I wasn't with her, but the majority of my life, I'm around this person. So literally, she's my everything. She passed away really quickly, really suddenly. She had a heart attack, and then within a month, you know, and I could see it coming because my dad passed away 2 years ago. So I started reading the symptoms and understanding what was happening. And it was really tough for me. Like, I could not really fathom losing her. And I did my therapy, I did my meditation, and I was still really angry. And I was angry at God. Yeah. I was like, God, you just took Dad 2 years ago. Now you're just taking away the best person in my life, like my best friend. Like, why? What did I do to you? There's other problems as well, which I'll tell you about in a bit. Right. But it was just kind of like, why? I've been doing good. Why this? And I did the kickboxing. I did all my things to release. And then one day I just got a bunch of my stuff in the back of my house, and I took my baseball bat and I went crazy. I just smashed the crap out of everything I had, like I was like the TV or whatever, you know. It was just like I just let it all out, and I screamed as loud as I can. And yeah, so I broke everything down. I smashed it out, stomped it, yelled, and I just laid down on the grass for a bit, and I just felt peace and quiet. And then while I'm sitting there, you know, the business mind is ticking in, my psychology mind is ticking in, and going, you know what? This is a great alternative for people who can't speak about their problems. Not everybody's articulate. Not everybody has the means to communicate how they feel. Right. And there's a lot of judgment around breaking things, and it's such a taboo. But again, rebel here, I was like, it shouldn't be a taboo. It could be, anybody can release and express themselves. As long as they're not harming anybody else, they should be able to express themselves in any way, shape, or form. So, and then I thought this could be a business idea. Let's see what we can do about it. I started developing the idea. Like I said, creating is my favorite part. So I started creating the brand, creating how it would look like. I started doing research if it's available around the world. And I found out that it is available in Canada, in my hometown, in a little dungy place in like the outskirts of the city. It wasn't a big brand. It was just something recreational. So that summer I went to Canada, I tried it out just to see. I spent the day just to understand logistically how it's in. And I said, okay, this will not work in Dubai if we do it such low key. We need to Dubaify it, right, you know, we need to like bring the branding, get the rooms and all. At that point, I just finished a program with Tony Robbins, and they were teaching us business mastery. And one of the key things they said, when you start a business, if you're a creative person, you need to bring a business partner in that is focused on operations. Because if you're an artist and if you're a creator, you don't necessarily want to run the business. And that's when I understood what I was going wrong all those years. It's because I never had a business partner. I was doing it alone. The creative was fun, but once I went to day-to-day operations, not my forte, that's not what I enjoy doing. And I quickly kind of crashed because I couldn't juggle it all.
And it's always, especially in business, it is really important to understand that factor. Right?
100%.
Because if you've got a creator,
yes,
you've got to have someone else who's
100%.
Like my strengths might not be your strengths, and we need to have
100%. Yes. So I started searching for people to partner up with, and funny enough, by random, I met somebody at the Tony Robbins event that was living in Dubai. Okay. And we kind of started doing these meetups every week for the Dubai Society of Tony Robbins, and he would meet, and we got very close and we became best friends. And then at one point, his business, he had a car business, and he was using me to do the creatives. And I was just telling him, I don't think your business is going to work. I just don't see where the niche is. And I was kind of helping him with that. And he was hearing me out saying, I'm looking for somebody who's, you know, who's detail-oriented, loves operations, blah, blah, blah. And then he kind of looked at me and said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And I said, I'm thinking what you're thinking. Or should we do this? And he said, let's do that. And we partnered up together. And Smash Room has now been operating for 9 months. We made our first million. It was such a crazy idea. Everybody told us it was going to fail. Everybody told me it was the craziest of all the crazy ideas that I can come up with. My mom told me that I was throwing my money away because I self-invested and I got my sisters to self-invest as well. Any business I go, I pull my sisters to invest with me. They're big supporters. They believe in the dream. We're 6 girls and 1 boy. And my eldest sister, so number 2, she's like my big believer. Like she says, I've retired because I know Hiba's gonna make me a very successful millionaire. I'm like, done, So she invested with me, and we invested, and we made it happen. And the first week we launched this idea, people murdered us. We had a lot of hate mail. I had people threatening to come to my house and do crazy things because it was against what they thought was right. So breaking things, you should give them to charity. Well, these are junk stuff from the junkyard. They don't actually work, right? Actually, a lot of our stuff, if you break them, we donate to charity. We recycle everything as well. So we're actually contributing, but people did not have the knowledge, and they just decided the best way is to tell us that we're going to go to hell and attack us. We had a lot of religious people coming in telling us that that's the worst thing we've ever done. But I
remember reading about this maybe 9 months back in the newspaper.
It's like everywhere.
Yeah, and I was thinking it's like the best idea, and especially I was in the corporate career at that time. I'm like, you know what, all of us, we should all go there and just break stuff. But
I think
since
we've opened it, we've seen so much. We've seen like the people who had so much stress. We had a guy come 3 times per day. All right, yeah. So he came in the morning, he came at lunch, and then he came at dinner. And he was in a really bad state, and when he left he was crying, and he said thank you to us. We had people have meltdowns inside the rooms, and then when they come out, they just ask our staff for hugs. We've seen that. But we've also seen people who just want to come and have a rad fun time, right? So we've seen everything. But at the end of the day, just giving people the platform to express themselves in whichever way they want to and release their anger, their stress, their whatever is pent up within them is, I think, why we do what we do.
Yeah,
right?
That's such an amazing and different idea that you had actually come out with, and I can't imagine.
Most ideas come from pain, right? They always tell you the best ideas come from pain, and because you really feel the pain, and I felt it. Like when I was telling my story on the news and whatever, like it was hard for me because it was still fresh, and it was we opened around the anniversary of my grandma's passing by coincidence. It was not even like at one point I looked at the date and I was like, oh my God. Like I remember I was in Al Arabiya, we were live on TV, and I just asked about what day is it today? Like what's the day? And somebody said like April 3rd, and I was just like trying not to and I had to just explain that we just opened a week ago. So it all kind of came full circle. And and I always say if you come from a place of pain, I always tell everybody we mentor in the Startup Factory, go and look at what the pain in the market is. If you find the pain, you have a great business. If you just think it's a good idea, it doesn't matter. You need to find the pain. What problem are you actually solving? That's key. If you don't have a problem you're solving, sometimes people don't even know they have the problem. People didn't think the Smash Room, like they didn't have that problem of needing to smash things. Once they smashed, they're like, I have a problem. I need to come here and smash more often. We've even had parents bring kids. So we said 16 and above. Now we've reduced the age to 8 with parent consent. We had parents saying, our kids break things in the house. Can I bring them to the Smash Room? Let them break so they understand that this is the only controlled environment where they can do this. So we were like, of course. And then we started catering to children and children's parties and all that kind of stuff.
Do you see the Smash Room probably, expanding to counseling later on
not counseling. So the Smash Room is going to be the Smash Room. What we're trying to do right now, we've already started a franchise package for it. So we're trying to franchise it around the world. I think one of the main things that we did is we developed a very, very strong brand and brand identity. And we have people from Australia and the US actually coming to us as a brand and saying, how can we take your brand? We've also had a lot of copycats, and people even trying to take the name. We've had, Yeah. So we're copyrighted and trademarked and all that kind of stuff. But people still try like to open. We're called the Smash Room. They say Smash the Room, and we've had Smash Room with triple O's and things like that. We've actually had Adidas last week in Soul DXB took the idea and implemented it in Soul DXB. Without giving us props, so we called them out on social media.
Okay.
We were like, "Hi Adidas, imitation is the best form of flattery." That's what we told them, So it happens. That's in business, and we're just like ready to grow right now. We're looking at Abu Dhabi as a next option. There's a lot of so this weekend we were at Le Rouvre. Is it Le Rouvre? Le Rouvre, yeah, that one. We had a pop-up concept there for Festember.
Okay.
And we made what we made in 3 days, what we would make in the next show in the pop-up. Yeah, just from the pop-up for like a 2-day pop-up. So we were very...
So required. Like you said, it's another way in which people can just express themselves.
Yeah. You're always under stress. You just don't even sometimes realize that you're under stress.
Not everyone can be articulate and just say what their problems are.
I see it with my own coaching clients, right? Some people have to drag the information. Some people are just ready to pop. I just like push and they tell me everything. And there's people that I need 6 sessions with to get to the root cause. Right? And everybody has their own time, and not everybody's comfortable and coming in and sharing their we come from different cultures, different backgrounds and so forth. Everybody has their own rules.
Yes.
And because they have their own rules, it all happens. Yeah, but that's the story.
About it also. So we've covered the startup factory, the Smash Room.
Yeah.
What else?
So Igniting Mindsets, which is my coaching business.
Okay.
Igniting Mindsets literally started because everybody was asking me to coach them. I one day said, I will not coach anybody. I'm an entrepreneur. But when your soul knows your soul purpose, your soul will tell you, no, you're an entrepreneur. You are a coach. That's what you're good at. So I was at a Tony Robbins event and we were doing an exercise. And I was still refusing. I was fighting with my inner spirits to go like, nope, I don't want to do this coaching thing. I'll do business coaching, but I don't want to do this mindset coaching. And through the exercise, I saw the vision of me actually helping a lot of people. And I was working on my life purpose as a statement, and I didn't understand what it was. And I was trying everything, but it never felt right. I'm the fire that ignites people to live their best life, all this kind of stuff. And then until I worked on a sentence and it said, my life purpose is to help people ignite their inner happiness. And that's when I felt everything align within my body and I had like goosebumps all over my body. And I was like, okay, I've been why have I been pushing this to the side? That's number 1. And 2 is like, if I feel this good about it, everybody always tells me, hey, but you hear people's problems all day long. Don't you get tired? And I don't. And that should be an indication to you that it's what you're supposed to do. And I naturally do it as a conversation. I'm always coaching and I'm always like, oh, what do you think about this? Asking the right questions to get people to think. And my friends used to call me the connector. Like I would connect the dots for them without actually telling them how, And then I started coaching, but I believe in starting a business. I don't believe that it should be just like a freelance job that you do. You need to have a system because I like to take a lot of vacations. I like to go and enjoy life. I'm not there to work all the time. My life purpose, yes, is there, but I also like to live. Right. We have to do living. I always say people wait to live, but I like to do living every day. So if I just would have done it as a freelance or whatever, it meant that Hiba has to be there. And if Hiba is not there, the business does not go. And that's not a business, that's a hobby then. Yeah. So I structured it as a business. I hired some really amazing coaches as well. And I do a lot of online trainings. And I also started a segment which kicked off really well the beginning of this year called Therapy in 45 Seconds on my Instagram. So I do therapy in 45 seconds. Like literally in 45 seconds, I will give you a piece of therapy, and I started doing them on Instagram. No, just like shots. And when I started doing it, I had I was never in front of the camera. I never wrote scripts. I didn't understand how everything works. And I remember the first time I did my first episode, it took me 35 minutes for that 45 seconds, right? And I was just like, I told my best friend, because she was there with, my squad, she was there with the camera, had another friend with the lighting, and it was like a big entourage in my house just to film those 45 seconds. And I was just like, I can't, guys, this is so much hard work. It's not, I don't know if it's worth it. But then how people reacted to it told me. So I had 800 followers now. I have 15,000 followers organically just on my videos, just creating these videos and creating the content. And now I can film 5 videos within 15 minutes. I'll bag out 5 videos, 15 minutes, send it to my editor. He'll edit it, I post, and we're done. So just doing that, it kind of like made me see how many people actually appreciate what you do and actually how many people you help. And it goes back to this my whole purpose of helping people. And when you get random people on Instagram messaging you saying, you know what, I wanted to kill myself today, but then you posted that video. And you become so humbled and grateful, like who am I to even affect anybody at this point? And if I don't post one day, I start getting a message like, where are you? I needed your energy today. Then I had that sense of obligation as well to like, oh my God, like we might take what we do for granted and it's not, but there's other people who are...
always someone who has a need, right?
Exactly, has a need. So it was like, oh, I'm tired today, I'm not gonna do it. That was a little bit selfish because it could have helped somebody. Right? So it put everything back into perspective and having igniting mindsets and taking it a step further. I started working with chiropractors who actually could not fix pain in people. So they had a neck pain. They did everything that the chiropractor could do. And I would say, well, send them across to me. It's probably neurological. It's a code. Let's fix the code. And I'll send it back to the chiropractor. So I would fix the pain just through understanding what the limiting beliefs are, a little bit of theta, a little bit of NLP, and they're okay and they're ready to go back. So building that's where I say I get my most fulfillment. I enjoy it. I just enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy understanding their problems, and then I enjoy showing them their problems without me taking them there. So giving them their own path and ability to go and see, what possibilities do they have. And a lot of people, some people, I get sometimes I think God challenges me with the most pessimistic people because they come in and they're like, well, they sent me to you. I don't know what you're going to do, right. But fix me, if you can, I get a lot of those people. And I go there like, well, I can fix you if you want to fix yourself, but I can't fix you if you don't want to fix yourself. And there's a lot of resistance. I had a client who refused to do muscle testing.
Yes.
She refused to muscle test, so I couldn't know if the belief was her belief.
So, okay, for those people who don't know what muscle testing is, this is to test what is your
subconscious belief. Yeah.
It's a theta healing.
Yeah. And she refused to muscle test, and I didn't know. I was like, okay, creator, tell me what's the best way that I can do with that. So then I just actually told her, listen, I can't help you if you can't help yourself, and I gain nothing by you coming to me. It's all right. This is but so don't come anymore. Yeah. And just saying don't come anymore kind of triggered something into her. And people expect the coach or the psychologist or whatever to always be on your side. But I can only serve you if you can serve yourself.
Right. I remember when I was going for my classes, for my theta healing classes, my trainer, she used to take me as an example. And then my subconscious used to really resist anytime. And it was a room full of people. I don't want to say my problems out. Till one day she said, when she was doing her own classes and when she was being trained, she said, when I was sitting on that chair, I used to love the opportunity to sit on that chair because I wanted to clear my problems. That just triggered something like, damn it, I'm doing all this because I want to change something in my life. 100%. So if I'm going to let my subconscious fight me, 100%. There's no point.
First class of theta healing I fainted.
You did what?
I fainted.
Really?
My body decided to protect me because I had a belief that I absorb people's energy.
Okay.
So when everybody was doing the group reading, I fainted down to the ground, and everybody was shocked, and they had to medically evacuate me from the class. And I was out, and I didn't understand what happened. When I woke up, and the trainer immediately checked for beliefs, and my belief was I observe people's energy, and we were about to connect hands and do a joined healing session, and my body was like, no, you're not. And that's what made me even realize further that, my God, we have no control. There's this codes that are going in through your mind, they control you. I'm very strong, I'm very fit, and I'm very healthy, so me passing out for no damn reason means nothing. right? So it's a whole new world. But yeah, that's why we started the coaching business, because again, I like it to be automated. I like not to be there, and you have to. If you want a successful business, it has to run without you.
Right.
All my businesses can run without me.
Awesome.
And that's the only way that you can generate income and live as well. The key is 1, creating systems. 2, having partners that don't do the things you do.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they can take, like, I know that operationally, come and tell me financials and look at the balance sheets and the petty cash and all that. I'm like, keep my eyes like open. I know what's coming in, what's coming out. The rest of the details I don't need to know. Okay. Tell me, go meet a client and have a chat with them. I'll be there like in 20 seconds. You know, like, hold the door, I'm coming, right? You know, so you have to know exactly what your strengths are, and you have to partner up with people who are the complete opposite of you. These 2 things, having a system and partnering with people that are the complete opposite of you, I would say are the goals to having a business. And once you know, like, sometimes you go, like, can I start a business with my family or my friends? I get this all the time. I say, yes, you can, if they're the complete opposite of you. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who they are, if they're a stranger or if you're family. I prefer to do business with friends and family. Right. Because 1, I know them. 2, I trust them. 2, we have a very kind of like, I know already how they work. So, and they know my strengths, I know my strengths, and it works because they're the opposite. But I will never do business with somebody in my family who's the exact same opposite of me. That's a disaster waiting to happen, right? Yeah, so that would be the key goals.
And what about all those women, you know, who want to start something of their own, but there are a lot of these limiting beliefs that's stopping them?
Start. That's literally the one thing I would say is start. There's no other way. You can't fail if you don't do. You need to do. And failure is only part of the process, right? Look at me, I failed so many times. I didn't even tell you about the 1.5 million I lost yet. Okay, I literally started a business with somebody, gave them 1.5 million as part of my investor. Before trucks were really cool in Dubai, food trucks, we wanted to bring food trucks to Dubai. I gave her my share, 1.5 million of the business. Know this girl, she just took the money and we've been in court for 5 years. I've won every aspect of it, yet still no money has been paid back to me. And that's just a life lesson you learn. You have a contract, you don't have a contract. We had a contract, we had everything. Yet it doesn't really matter. And I always say, the one thing I learned from that, I would go back and I would have it done to me again because I learned to be super vigilant. I learned how to like understand. If you want to know anything about the court system, I'm like the expert now because I've been through it all. So you've learned so much of these skills that you don't necessarily have. And also there's key things, like I used to be the kind of person who go, oh, I trust your word, like that's it. Like that's great. I trust you, you trust me. I'm a woman of my word, you're a woman of your word. Not everybody is a woman of their word, you know, that everybody is. So that was kind of an awakening that not everybody, people will not necessarily treat you how you treat them. Sometimes they'll treat you how they treat other people. And you just keep on going, because I lost the 1.5 million the same month I lost my dad, and the same month I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I had a choice at that moment. I was really depressed, and I had a choice. Like, it was either going to suck me down or I had to come back up fighting harder. And I didn't know how I was going to get back up, but all I knew is my mind. As a psychologist, I was like, I need to focus on my mind. So I remember I just went to Kinokuniya and I bought like every single self-help book that was there. And I went back to my bed, which I was heavily sitting depressed in, and I just read every single book, and still nothing happened. And then I was watching an episode of Scandal, and Olivia Pope said, "Are we gladiators or are we bitches?" And something triggered within me, and I was like, no, I'm a gladiator. And I just woke up and I looked myself in the mirror and I said, I will never, ever, ever be that depressed again. Ever. Like, that is not a life standard that I allow myself to have. That was 4 years ago. And now since then, it was just like, I got up, I went back to work. I started getting my social life back, saving more money. And I said, okay, I was just gonna focus on self-development. That year, I had money saved, like I saved up money, and everyone's like, buy a new car because you deserve a new car. I spent $300,000 on self-improvement. I gave it all to Tony Robbins, and I went and I signed up to Tony Robbins Master University, and it changed my life. And I was just since then, it was just like growth, 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 and yes, it's not growth like this. It's like growth, right? But you don't, like before, when the growth was like this, like something would happen, I'd be like crying and holding on and, you know, getting all emotional. Now it's like, oh my God, it's a really nice ride downwards. You know, look at the view. You know, it's such a beautiful view. Oh, we're going back up. Oh, thank you, God, for you know, it's like, so you just have to kind of like enjoy the ride. It's a ride. It's the wave. If you're gonna crash on the wave, you can't crash the wave. Like mindfulness, you know, people are like into like this mindfulness now, and you know, like it goes through these phases. You can see the mindfulness aspect, the vegan aspect of it. Like now it's a generation that everybody wants to be an Instagram fashionista or whatever that is, or a YouTuber. And that's where it always brings me back to kind of recalibrate my own thoughts and recalibrate my life purpose and my own purpose, and to go and say, who are you? Like, who are you at your core? And who are you when you strip yourself away from everything that is around you? And if you're able to just spend that time alone with yourself and know congruently who you are, you know, and what you are there for, nothing around you can actually faze you. But everybody distracts themselves with everything that has happened, so that happening around them, so they don't go inside and ask themselves, who am I? I know specifically every value who I am. I have them on my wall. You know, every day I wake up, I say I am fun, I am energy, I am passion, I am compassion, and I am fun. Like every day I say my top 5 values just to remember myself. And when I do my journaling, I always say I am fit, I am strong, and I am sexy. You know, just gotta reaffirm that. But you have to know who you are as a person. You know, when you strip away everybody around you, what society tells you you should and shouldn't be. I got told all my life, my haircut, should not have your hair done, looking like this. It has to be in unison. Corporate world, you should wear heels. I like to wear sneakers. That's what I'm comfortable in. You know, you should put makeup on, or you should get Botox, or I'm like, no, I like this going on, right? So everybody has a damn opinion about you, how you should be, how you should look like, what you should say. I say the word a lot, okay? And people tell me, why do you swear? You don't need to swear. Why shouldn't I swear? It's the word. What you put onto the word is your own definition of the word. For me, it's just showing my passion, right? So there's a lot of this you should do, you shouldn't do. Once you're able to strip yourself from everybody else's expectation, that's when you're living. And it does not mean offended. People will get offended if they want to be offended, right? Yeah. You can do nothing and people will be offended. So it's, I don't want to offend anybody, but you're offending yourself because you're not living life as your true self. As long as you're not hurting the world and society and humanity by being who you are. I'm not saying, oh yeah, go ahead and start, you know, speaking your mind and insulting people. That is not being your true self, right? But finding who you are and being congruent with yourself and speaking your own truth without harming others, that's living life, right?
Yes. Awesome. That was amazing.
That was a lot.
On that note, I think we should wind up.
Yes.
Yeah. But one last question. What's the future? What do you think? What do you see yourself?
I am looking into going into a more spiritual path at the moment. I really want to learn more about the universe, about quantum physics, about moving into understanding of quantum fields and how we can influence and create our own reality and manifestation abundance. I'm really intrigued in that. I do have a business vision by 2020 to have 20 businesses, and each businesses will be, the main sole purpose is to help people ignite their inner happiness. So it doesn't matter what field, as long as it ignites people's happiness, that's definitely what I'll be working on.
Amazing, looking forward to that, and
thank you.
Maybe by 2020 I'll be interviewing you for the rest of the
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Thank you so much, Hiba. Thank you for being part of Women of Arabia, and wish you all the successes in the world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.